All right, good. Let's talk about this like rational human beings. Um, let's talk about the storming of the church. Um, Don Lemon got arrested. Um, rightfully so for doing something stupid or being involved in somebody who's doing something stupid. Um, first of all, um, because I have trouble seeing incidents. It's like we dealing with a bunch of children who think we've been stuck in the battle between children, two children, right and left. Right, the left does something tremendously stupid and pretends as if it's the same thing as the other side, somebody else doing it. It's not because they have the maturity of a teenager. After they get in trouble, they go, "When what about X, Y, and Z?" Instead of taking responsibility and worrying about themselves. Okay, and the part is you cannot violate other people's rights by claiming you have your own rights. It's like they finally they go in this church and find like these people's First Amendment rights to religion, freedom, religion. They weren't invited, and even if they weren't invited, they weren't there to attend church. They didn't go there to attend for church service. They weren't dressed in suit and tie. They weren't actually there to attend church. Because that's the only defense they should be talking about. I wasn't there doing attending church. I don't think they should have been said. Nah. Your First Amendment right to freedom did not oversee somebody else's First Amendment right for freedom of religion. Okay. Let me explain to you that. Apparently, people need to be explained common sense. And because you violated somebody's First Amendment rights, you can't. Let me say this clearly for y'all in the back. You cannot violate other people's right and then try to cry about your own. Freedom of speech doesn't. Y'all always say this. Y'all always say it. You're first people to say it. Then when it comes back to you, you want to don't acknowledge it. But y'all don't want to say freedom of speech doesn't give you freedom of consequences. Remember that. Well, I want you to remember that when you're going to jail because that's what you're going to be doing. um, is this? Don Lemon is the first person that should know better than doing this. He would never done this in his earlier career, so I don't know why the freak he's doing it now. He knew what he was doing was a federal crime. It, if he didn't know, he should have known. The thing about it is that they do this stuff and they think nobody's gonna say anything because they think everybody around them is on their side until something happens to them, and then all of a sudden they want to cry foul. But he should have known something about the fact that they're doing it in secret. Y'all know there's always something up when somebody do something in secret. Oh, we don't want or trying to be shady about it because they knew what they're doing was illegal. They knew what they were doing was illegal. That's why they're doing it in a shady way. Think about this, dude. I want y'all to think about it. Dude, Corey, think about the video y'all saw when they were of Dumb Lemon before they stormed that church. They were doing everything in secret, coding everything. Why do you think that was it? You think that was because they were doing something illegal? No, they were doing something they were supposed to be doing. They're about to do something they weren't supposed to be doing. That is 99% of the reason why people try to code words. And try not to be upfront up. And because if they were doing something illegal, they wouldn't need to code anything. If they were doing a legal protest, they wouldn't have needed to be so secretive about it. If it was a legal, peaceful, and civil protest that was run in a legal in a place they're supposed to be at, they shouldn't have needed to be so quiet about it. But about the organization, they wouldn't need to be so secretive about the organization. You should have known something. He should have known something was up about this so-called protest. The problem with these people is they think they can do illegal stuff and get no consequences behind it. And that is a fallacy that they don't understand because they've been brainwashed into believing stupidity. They were ill-informed. They're betrayed because they're blind. These people wouldn't do this stuff in a Muslim church. They wouldn't do it in any other religion. But the fact of the matter is they do it. They thought it was okay to do it in a Christian church. It doesn't matter whether the pastor is an ICE agent. And then these people are so deluded. They think everybody's a Gestapo or some type of neo-Nazi, and they think everybody's a Nazi. That's the problem. Everybody don't think like them as a Nazi. That is part of their MO, to vilify everybody around them and live in their echo chambers. Okay, everybody. They weren't good calling that when Obama was doing it. Like I keep going back to that. The matter is these people are hypocrites because they don't keep that same energy when their side's in charge. They don't keep that same energy. They didn't keep that energy when Obama was deporting millions of people. Freaking Trump hasn't even deported 1,000. And plus he only deporting freaking criminals. But the fact of the matter is, the government's killing their own citizens. No, the citizens are getting themselves killed. Okay? They didn't get to a situation where a person needs to think they need to use deadly force. They're like any other police person. That stage up at home, you want to get none of stuff with them. But at the same time, they need everything needs need legal force. Not everything. I mean, if you're going to go around open carrying whatever, y'all need to be more careful when y'all engage in police. Number one, we be responsible gun owners. You know when you're dealing with somebody who's also armed, that you need to put yourself in a position where you don't seem to be a threat. Don't give them a reason to think you are a threat. I never understood this idea of protesting people doing their job instead of going to protesting, I don't know, at the Capitol or something. Oh wait, they're too. Because they don't know how to peacefully protest. Truly, they even though the media might cover them up and pretend that though their form of protest is peaceful. Nobody knows how to do that. You got people going around telling people to do nonsense That people that do commit violent acts against people, use hyperbolic, dangerous language. As though that's helping. It ain't. You listen to people who are going to get you in more trouble than it's worth. Egging you on to do dumb crap. And passing on its sound advice. And what did that always lead to? It doesn't lead you to any positive change. It always leads you into jail. And with a felony record. Or dead. Whichever one comes first. Because none of these things lead to any change. It doesn't stop people from doing stuff. Lady recently lost their job for being dumb, telling people they ought to poison people, poison law enforcement. But yet these are the same people, the moment the right, what they call it, stormed the Capitol, is what they call it. I should say walked into the White House, because that's pretty much what they were allowed to do. They let them walk into the Capitol. They called them terrorists. Oh, but the moment they're called terrorists, oh my God, they're calling us terrorists. Oh my God, they're calling us terrorists. Holla. This is the game they play. They both play the game. It's not helpful for neither side to think this weekend. And then it's not like the right is innocent in anything either, because they both play the same game in different ways. Both play the same game. Okay, and it's just like and then not everybody is the big mouths of the each side going back at each other, yapping back at each other. Oh, he's calling people name calling people all kinds of names outside their mouth, and they call themselves Christians. And that's part of the problem. Then have them not, because they're not helping. Libtards are calling people names is not necessarily a healthy way of debate. We have that problem in America. Neither side wants to talk amicably on each other. Both sides want to call each other names. Both sides want to fight. Both sides want to act like children. What about isms? What about this? What about that? And half the time they're not even the same situation or the same thing, especially on two sides. And the what about them is not even equivalent to the same situation. And as far as context is concerned, Kyle Rittenhouse is not the same as Al Petty situation at all. And the fact of the matter is, and keep going back to Kyle Rittenhouse. First of all, this man was getting chased by a freaking a child predator and two sex offenders. These people would defend anybody. This man, they could be a serial murderer, and they would probably still try to defend this person simply because he's protesting with them. Like, these people have no standards. Whatever. So blind loyalty. It's ridiculous. Two R. Kellys. Two R. Kellys. Got get into it. Um, it's crazy. People who defend the trash of the trash for the sake of a movement. It's insane. But that's all I gotta say. I'm running out of time. Tell me what y'all think. Comment below, like, subscribe.